Good day, good morning, good evening, depending on when you're going to be watching the video. So in this video, I will be going over functions in C++. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to be thinking, dude, why are you covering functions in C++ when we've already done the majority of the work that has included functions? Well, the reason why I did that is because I wanted you to get a logical understanding of functions in C++, right? I wanted you to see how they are used. I wanted you to actually understand how they are used, to have some form of context behind functions in C++, and why do we even use them, when should we use them, the different types of functions. So that's really what I wanted to do, is to give you guys a practical example of functions in C++, because honestly speaking, functions are just a way of doing something, right? If, say, for example, you are at a, you guys are going to be hosting a party, right? Or you guys are planning a party. So, and then you're obviously going to be like, okay, well, there has to be someone who is going to be taking care of, the drinks. There's going to be someone who's going to have to take care of the foods. There's going to be someone who's going to have to go out there and buy, the party bags. There's going to be someone who's going to have to go there and get the cake. So what you are doing is, we're assigning each person their individual tasks. So now each and every person has something that they're doing, right? Their function is the task that they're doing. So one person's function could be to get the cake. Another person's function could be to get the drinks. Another person's function could be to get the food. Whatever it is, or whichever task you assign to a person, that's their function, right? That's what they're going to be doing. It's exact same logic with a function. A function is just something that is used to do something, right? That's all it is. It can return something, or it can just be a void function that essentially just returns nothing but displays something to the console application. So let's just list out the different types of functions that we can have. We can have a function of the integer data type. We can have a function of the string data type. We can have a function of the double data type, and we can have a function or a void function, right? We can have a void function. So these are the types of functions that we usually use. These are not all the functions that we have, but these are the most commonly used functions that we can have. So let's just start off by using a function. So when you are declaring a function, you're obviously going to say the data type that it is, and then you're obviously going to give it a name. So let's just say function uh, get multiple, right? Function get multiple, right? And then you just, and so here, well, depending on whether or not you're going to be, getting in your parameters, or you're going to be using, just your own variables that are already in the main function. But here is where you're going to be declaring your parameters, right? So let me just do this, right? Let's just do. So whatever is in here, this is going to be deemed as the header of your function. So whatever is inside of the header of your function, that is going to be your parameters. So whatever you input there, if I were to say, integer num, this integer num is a parameter, right? So just think of it that way. Whatever is inside of your function header, that is called a parameter, right? So integer num, uh, integer num2, yeah, and so that's what we're going to be doing. And so let's just come down here and say double uh, double get division, right? Let's just get double, double A, double B, right? And then let's just come here and declare a void function. Say hello world, right? And so we're not going to have any parameters for this one, because I don't think we need parameters for that one. So then we come down here again and we say get multiple, right? We get multiple. And so we're gonna obviously have to now have integer num and integer num2. And so this is where we start declaring or actually doing some form of processing. So whatever falls within these two curly braces is going to be known as the body of our function, because that's what we're going to be doing. You know, if you're writing an essay, you're going to have the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. So you can think of whatever is inside of these curly braces as the body of our function. So you know, well, what we want to return is num1 multiplied by num2. So that's what we're going to be returning in this function. And so we're going to be saying double get division, right? And so we're going to obviously have double A and then double B, right? And so now what we're going to be doing is return A divided by B, right? Just A divided by B. And then in our void function, void function, say hello world. Let's just you know, see out hello world. Alright, so that's what that guy, that's what that guy does. So we come up here into our main function and we say integer num2, right? Let's just give it some values. Let's just say num1 is equals to 7, num2 is equals to 8. And let's just come down here and say double A is equals to 67 and B is equals to 189, right? And then yeah, we don't need anything for the void function. So now let's start calling our function, or declaring, or not declaring our functions, but let's start calling our functions, right? Get multiple. And so once we've called our functions into our integer main function, we don't have to specify the data type and also the data type of the variables or of the parameters that we have in our functions, because the computer already knows that this get multiple is of the integer data type, and whilst it's of the integer data type, the parameters are also of the integer data type. We have one parameter that's of the integer data type and another parameter that's of the integer data type. So you don't have to specify it. You just have to say get multiple, and then you say num2. Now this is where it starts to get interesting. Num1 and num2 are no longer called parameters. They are now called arguments. So yeah, they're now called arguments. So, you know, we can get technical about this thing and say, you know, you can define a parameter as a function that you're passing to, as a variable that you're passing to a function as reference, and then you can also define a argument as a variable that you're passing into a function by value. So, but you know, if you just want an easier way to sort of you know, define or to differentiate between arguments and parameters, is you can think of it this way. You can think of it as a parameter. It's something that exists on the header of the function. So a function will obviously exist outside of the main function. So it'll exist like this, or it'll exist like that. So anything that, you know, comes here, you can think of that as a parameter, right? And then you can think of an argument as the values that are, or the variables that are passed into a function that are inside of the main function. So as you can see here, I have called the get multiple function, and the things or the variables that are inside of this get multiple function, they are now known as arguments. They are no longer parameters. So you can think of it that way, right? And then we can also now have the get division, Jesus Christ, division. I don't know how to spell. Yikes. Division. Not division, division. Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna have A and then B, right? And then we're just going to call our, say hello world function, right? So we don't have any parameters for this say hello, so we're not going to have any arguments either. So now since, we've, excuse me, we've already sort of declared our functions here, the computer only wants to know, because it can obviously see that we are declaring our function at the top, it only wants to know, or it only wants to know what type of data type that we're passing in. So we're passing in of the integer data type. So that's what it needs to know. So I don't have to, specify which type of variable it's going to be, because I already have the variable declared into the main function. We're going to go into deeper details on this when we are looking at passing an array into a function by reference and passing an array into a function by value. We're going to look into that and just all that stuff, but for now just know that we don't need to specify the variable when we're looking, or when we're declaring our function. We just need to specify the data type, and then when we come down here, now we need to specify that, listen, we are actually referring to the number, the num, right? The num variable and the num2 variable. So this part, this is only when we're actually going to be specifying its variable. So now if you come down here I've just went ahead and just added the multiply and divide variable for just to not waste time. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to say multiply is equals to this get multiple, and then I'm going to come down here again and say, well, divide is equals to this get division, and then I'm just going to see out multiply. Let's do this whole thing and then see out divide, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so what I've just done is I've just created a variable, and then I've stored this get multiple and then this get division, right? So the reason why I did that is because, well, this function just returns something, right? It returns the multiplication of num1 by num2, and then this get division also returns something, which is the division of a by b. So it returns a value, but the thing is, it needs to be stored. It needs to be stored within another value so that it can then be outputted into the console application. So I stored it in this multiplied variable and this divide variable, and then the void function does not need to be given or to be stored in any variable, because, well, it's a void function. So if we then run this, it then gives us 56 2 point whatever that number is, and then hello world. So that's just the basics of variables that you kind of need to keep in mind.